Welcome back for today's lesson. Today we're going to be focusing on fractions, part 2. We're going to take a closer look at mixed fractions and improper fractions. And just to quickly review, a regular fraction looks something similar to this here. We have a numerator on top and a denominator on the bottom. And in a regular fraction, the numerator, the top number, is always smaller than the denominator, the bottom number. So 3 is obviously smaller than 5. So this is our regular fraction, 3 over 5. When we look at improper fractions, they're slightly different. They look very similar to regular fractions, except the number on top, the numerator, is a little bit bigger than the denominator. So it's almost like they're upside down. So we have our numerator over denominator as usual, except this time the number on top might look like this, and the number on the bottom might look like this. So this would be an improper fraction because we have the numerator is larger than the denominator. And that's how you can recognize an improper fraction. Now, improper fractions are very similar to mixed fractions. They can be the same, they can have the same value, but they just look differently. Mixed fractions usually use whole numbers like this, and they're mixed up with a regular fraction like this. Let me get that out of the way. And so here we have a whole number of 3. That's our whole number. And then we have our regular fraction right here, which is half, 1 over 2. And because it's mixed up with whole pieces and fractions, we call that a mixed fraction. So now let's take a closer look at mixed fractions and what do the whole numbers and the fractions actually represent. So I'm going to write down a mixed fraction here. We have 3 wholes and a half. And if I had to draw this out, the way it would look like is this tells us we have 3 full of something, 3 whole things. That means we have 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1, 1 out of 1. We have 3 wholes just like that. And then we have not a whole, we have half of a whole like that. And so we call this 3 and a half, 3 wholes. We have 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes. And then now we don't have another full, or else that'd be 4 wholes. So we only say we have 3 and a half. And that's why we use mixed fractions. So let's try another one. Here I wrote 4 wholes, and then I wrote the fraction 3 over 4. So our mixed fraction is 4 wholes and 3/4, 3 over 4. And now what I like to do is I want to draw it out to represent the mixed fraction accurately. So to draw this out, I first looked at the fraction 3 over 4, this part right here. And this part here, I drew it out right here. So I have, the fraction tells me that the denominator, that means there's a total of 4 squares together. That would make a total there. And it tells me that we only have 3 of them. We have 3 out of 4. So there's 1, 2, 3. So I'm actually going to color that in. That's my 3 out of 4. But I'm not done yet because remember we have 4 holes as well. So basically the 4 holes means we have 4 more of these bars right here, but they're filled up completely. So I'm going to draw another one equally in size, just like that. And we're going to color the whole thing because it's a whole piece. So that's 1 whole piece. Then I'm going to add on another one the same size. That's another whole piece. So now we have 1 whole piece here. We have another whole piece here. I have to add on another one here. Now I've got 3 whole pieces. And I'm going to squeeze one more in at the bottom here, same size. And now I have 4 whole pieces. So now this picture shows this mixed fraction. We have 4 whole pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we also have this leftover piece here. We got 3 out of 4. It's not a whole piece. It only has 3 out of 4. And so that's our mixed fraction, 4 wholes and 3/4. So let's take a closer look at an improper fraction. An improper fraction has the larger denominator on larger numerator on top, and a small denominator on the bottom. And here we have 5 over 3. And to get your mind around an improper fraction, we have to think about what is a full fraction. What would make the whole? Well, we know that when it's 3 over 3, that equals a whole piece. That looks like this. So there's our piece, and it's cut up into 3s because the denominator is in 3. So 1, 2, 3, and we have this. We have all 3 pieces, so it's all colored in. 1, 2, 3. But we had 5 over 3, not 3 over 3. How many leftover pieces are there? So we did this is 3 out of 3 right here, but we had 5 over 3. That means there's 2 extra pieces left. So we're going to draw the same size again, just like this. And we color that in. And this one's going to stay blank because we only have 2 out of 3. And if we put this all together, that makes 5 total pieces divided into 3s. So let's take a closer look at 7 over 4, another improper fraction. Remember, the denominator tells us what the pieces are cut up into, and that we can always remember that 4 out of 4 makes a whole piece. So I'm going to draw 4 out of 4 first, just like this. So there's my piece. It's a denominator 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 pieces there. And I can color them all in because we have all 4 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. How many pieces are left over? What haven't we done yet? We have 4, but we need to get the 7. So there's 4 out of 4. We need to get the 7. So that means we need 3 more pieces. So I'm going to draw my bar again, same size. Cut it up into 4s again, and this time we have 3 of them. And there's the improper fraction for 7 out of 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And each bar is cut up into 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 7 out of 4. Now take a close look at this because we can change 7 out of 4, this improper fraction, into a mixed fraction. And we can even do the opposite. Mixed fractions can also change into improper fractions. And that's what we're going to look at next. But look at this picture right now, because we're going to use that as our example next. How can that be written in a mixed fraction? Remember, mixed fraction uses whole numbers with a fraction. So when looking at an improper fraction, 7 out of 4, you can decide by looking at it what the mixed fraction is going to be very easily. What you need to do first is you need to wrap your head around what would make a whole piece here. So 7 out of 4, what fraction equals 1 whole piece? Well, we know that 4 out of 4 is equal to 1 whole. So we know that if we were making a mixed fraction, we can do 1 whole over here because 4 out of 4 equals 1 whole. So now we subtract 4 away from this because we took it away, see right here, so we took 4 away. That leaves us with 3 more left. And now whatever is left, this fraction here, 3 out of 4, that's the rest of our mixed fraction. Just like that. So 1 whole with 3/4 is the same as 7 over 4. Basically all we did is we broke this down. Now that you know your addition and subtraction of fractions, we broke this down to 4 out of 4 plus 3 over 4, which equals 7 out of 4. That's really going to help us because if we looked at changing mixed fractions to improper fractions, we're going to use a strategy similar to that. So this time we're looking at converting mixed fractions to improper fractions. And again, if you understand what the fraction is, and you can get your mind around what it looks like and what it's telling us, changing it over isn't too difficult, especially if you know your multiples and you know how to add and subtract fractions. Converting it from mixed to improper, improper to mixed is not too difficult. So look at our mixed fraction right here. We have 1 2/3. So we have 1 whole right here, and we have a fraction of 2 over 3. So how can we change that to an improper fraction? Well, there's actually a couple ways you can do it. You could draw it out. You could use a shortcut, which I'm going to show you in just a second, or we can look closely at what we have here. This is telling us, this denominator right here is telling us that whatever it is we have, it's going to be cut up into 3s. So it automatically connects all over here in a proper fraction. It's going to be out of 3. This denominator always, always, always makes the denominator in the improper fraction. So now we just need to figure out what the top number is. Well, we know that we have 1 whole here, and we know that 1 whole is equal to 3 out of 3. And that we also have this fraction left over right here, which is 2 out of 3. And that equals, when you add it together, we have common denominators. When we add it together, we have 5 over 3. And that's our improper fraction right here. And so the correct answer for this question is 5 over 3. 1, 2 over 3 is equal to 5 over 3. So I'm going to give you 2 more questions, see if you can figure it out on your own and test it out. Before I do that, I'm going to show you a quick shortcut how to change mixed fractions into improper fractions. So when looking at mixed fractions, the one we just used a second ago, we have 1 whole, 2 and 2/3. That was our question from before. And we know that this mixed fraction can be broken up. It tells us that we have 1 whole, which is also the same as 3 over 3. And then we have the leftovers, 2 over 3, which equals 1 whole, 2 over 3. Or if you're drawing a picture, you have 1 whole pizza cut up into 3s. And then you have an extra 2 pieces out of 3. And so these are all equal. The last little shortcut I want to show you real quickly is, if you understand this, you can figure out what the improper fraction is real quickly if you simply take the denominator. So there's our question again. If you take the denominator here and multiply it by the whole number and then add it to the numerator, you can figure out what the improper fraction is pretty quickly. But don't forget, the denominator always stays the same. So even in our improper fraction, the denominator here is going to be the same in the improper fraction. So let's practice some questions right now. So let's take a look at this mixed fraction. We have 4 wholes with 3 over 8 remaining, or added on to it. And how can we change that into an improper fraction? Well, we can do 3 ways. We know a shortcut as well now. Let's do the shortcut first this time. For doing the shortcut, we take 8 times the wholes, which is 4, plus the numerator, which is 3, and that equals 35. That would be 35, and remember the denominator always just carries over, even into improper fractions. So that's 35 out of 8. But I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, so I'm going to show another way that I can prove to you that this is the right answer. I'm going to take my mixed fraction again. It's the same thing, 4, 3 over 8. And this time I'm going to split it up into how many wholes are we adding. So we know that we're adding 8 over 8 equals 1 whole. And we have 4 of those. So I'm going to draw that 4 times. 8 over 8, 8 over 8, 8 over 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 wholes right here. And then our last one is 3 over 8. And now we can add that all up. And you can use your calculator if you have to, or you can do it in your head. We have 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 3, which makes 35 over 8. So they match up. And if you still need to draw a picture for this here, just have to think about what we're going to draw. We're going to draw some pizzas here. We have 4 whole pizzas. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have another pizza with some extra pieces on it, but it's not going to be full. It's not going to be colored. We know that all the pizzas are cut into 8s because of this numerator right here. I said it wrong, denominator of 8s. So that means these are all cut up into 8s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to add that on here to all of them. These ones are all full anyway, so we're going to be coloring them in. This one I'll be a little more specific because this one, only 3 of the pieces are going to get colored in because the numerator here told us that only 3 of them are there. So 1, 2, 3. And then we have 4 wholes, or 8 out of 8, so they're all colored in. 8 out of 8, 8 out of 8, and another whole, 8 out of 8. So we have 4 wholes with 3 pieces left over out of 8, like that.